Hello everybody. I just wanted to make this video for all of those who are planning to take the Hesi and need some help and tips and advice to score a really good percentage. So first I wanna advise that you schedule an appointment. It took me a while to actually take the test because I was procrastinating to schedule an appointment. And so in my head, I was thinking, well, I'm just going to schedule it whenever I feel ready. But because it was not scheduled, I was not getting the time to study. I was just doing other things. And so definitely do that initially within 3 months or so. If you need a lot of time, 2 months. If you don't feel like you need that much time, it's really up to you, right? Definitely have enough time to prepare, to at least check the material, check different textbooks, and so you can kind of take some time to see what areas do you need to work on before you take the test, what material do you need to review, and then also to see what kind of tests you need to take. It depends on the school you're applying to, and so all of that will definitely help you, as well as checking tips to take tests. That always helps, how to prepare your mind, your body, and in a lot of different areas, just to help you prepare for the test better, right? To be able to have a better experience at the day on the test, so you can do things smartly, right? Or in a smarter way, or in a smart way, yeah. So I want to start by talking about the metric system. That definitely you'll have questions about it. So this is for the math, and sometimes, yeah, this is definitely for the math section. I believe I had other questions about the metric system in other areas. So I had to take biology, chemistry, anatomy and physiology, math. I had to take vocabulary, reading comprehension, and grammar. So 7 sections. And I had to take it online because of the whole COVID situation. So I had to bring a calculator with me, though there's a calculator on the system, but I would definitely, just to be prepared, make sure you have your calculator on you, a good calculator, because I initially bought one, but I tried it obviously before taking the test, and yeah, it was just not working that well. I don't know why, just malfunction or something. So definitely practice with the calculator before you decide that that's the calculator you're going to have for the test. And then I also had a whiteboard, and it's a whiteboard that you can write in both sides, so I didn't have to delete so much. And I used markers that were very small, this type of marker, that it wouldn't occupy so much space as you were writing, especially for the math and sometimes chemistry. That can definitely come very handy. So that's basically what I had, an eraser, and I would say definitely have a timer. The test for my section, for the amount of sections I had, it was a 4-hour test. So I believe the time depends on how many sections you are going to be taking. So that's something I would definitely call ProctorU, if you use ProctorU. I believe every school uses it, but if it doesn't, then you know exactly what to do, right? Just call your school, or call the center that will be providing the test, and just yeah, just make sure. But I didn't have a timer on my computer. I have a Mac, so maybe it's the type of computer I have, but I would say definitely have a timer, because it can be stressful, that you don't know how much time you're taking per question. Because initially when I would take a test, a practice test, I would have my timer next to me, so I could be like, okay, cool, so I have this amount of time for the next section, right? Because I took too long for this one, or I even took not enough, like I took just like less than what I needed to take. So that's awesome, I have more for the next section. So that kind of helped me pace just my rhythm of how fast I would take the section. I would take for each section. So it was so stressful that I didn't have a timer with me. I didn't know if I was taking too long. I didn't know how much time I had left. So yeah, not a good idea. You have the chance to chat with someone who's helping you, but they aren't really good at it. At responding really fast. And in my case, I wasn't able to leave the test to chat. I wasn't able to see the chat, so I had to have somebody on the phone kind of all the time with me, speaking to me, but they wouldn't answer. So yeah. And then you have a break. It depends on the school, but I had a break and I couldn't really take one because I took too long in some sections, but I finished everything, and I did good, right? So that's good. But yeah, so the time of the break, like, will still it won't stop your time for the test. It will be included with the time of the test. I had a 5-minute break to go to the bathroom, but I didn't need it. I had a good breakfast. I didn't drink too much water before the test. Definitely try to schedule the test for the morning, just because your brain is more rested, right, in the mornings. And definitely have a good breakfast, because you could potentially take 4 hours, right? You never know. So just make sure your tummy is full. I usually don't have breakfast. I'm not a breakfast person, but I know I can get hungry. Especially if I cannot continuously drink water, right? So I don't, especially if I'm just sitting, so I definitely would get hungry. So I just wanted to be prepared. I had a really good breakfast with some carbs and proteins and some fruit and just a variety, right? Just to ensure that I would do my best for my test. And I was eating really, really healthy before the test as well, the couple of days before the test, just to ensure that my brain had enough nutrients to be able to take the test in the best way. I went on a run that morning and then the mornings before, just to make sure that I was very weak for the test, and to make sure that my brain had like enough oxygen, and that I was like at my best, right? So yes, in regards to the metric system, definitely know them. I try to make lists. I try a lot of methods to kind of memorize it, but something that really helped me was just like flashcards. They are always like a lifesaver. And I would also say practice examples where you have to use the metric system and you cannot look at your cards, because on the, like, you see the card and you're like, oh, I know this, but when you're in the middle of the in the middle of a test and you have to think, can definitely like be tricky. So I would make sure to practice questions without looking at it and making sure that you're getting them right. I use some textbooks, so I'm going to show you what I used. I used this textbook, and so I read a little bit of the topics that I felt confused about, and then I took the practice tests. And yeah, so I used like 3 materials. Let me show you the next one. I did the same thing, right? Just review what I felt I had fuzzy. I reviewed the tips to take tests, and then I also have a couple of tips if you guys want me to send you that. I can totally do that for you. It was very helpful for me to kind of what to do to prepare the day of the test, the day before, how to prepare mentally, how to prepare physically. And I think all of that, it is important to be able to prepare for a test and be able to do your best at the day of the test. I also have some material on my computer that also was very helpful for me. And it's interesting because the textbooks have like different materials. Like each of them had different materials. Not all the materials, but most of the materials were different. And then so that was nice, right? Because I had like a variety of information. And then I also went to YouTube and found some different practice tests. And then also just I googled them, right? Practice tests, and I found really good material. You can also ask me about it, like leave it in the comments, and I can like guide you and tell you exactly which materials I used for practicing online and on my phone without having to pay a cent. Because honestly, it can get expensive, right, with all of these materials. So you don't have to pay for that. And then initially I wasn't taking notes. I'm like, I don't need to take notes. I'm just going to like take the quizzes and like see how it goes. And definitely it helped me once I started taking notes, and I kept only a notebook. I kept one notebook for all the practice tests, and then I kept another one for things I didn't know and corrections of the practice quiz I didn't know, so I could understand what I got wrong and why I got it wrong and how to correct it. So I took every quiz till I got it right. And so yes, for vocabulary I did flashcards. And so the way I memorized it is I would learn 7 words a day. And let me find a good example. I would basically I have like different colors just because I feel like colors are useful, right? And then basically I have the word on the back and what it means, and then I will have a picture and then a sentence, so I can see it in my head. Once I see the word, I can think about the picture, which all of this helps you, right? I don't know if you're a visual person or how you learn best, but to me, like overall, I feel like I learn multiple ways. So seeing the picture was very, very helpful. Applying it in a sentence was very helpful. So definitely this helped me a ton, and just quizzing myself, having my friends quiz me too, all of that was very helpful. So definitely for vocabulary, do that. So I am Colombian. I am not from the US, right? So I feel like grammar or vocabulary could have been harder for me, right? Because I wasn't born in the US and I've been speaking English just for a few years. So I would say go over a lot of different practice tests and see which vocabulary words are hard for you. Try to write those down, and then just go over that. Definitely go over that, because there are a lot of medical terms that not everybody knows. Because I would quiz like my boyfriend or my friends who are from here and they didn't know, right? So definitely there are words that you probably don't know unless you read a lot. So yeah, just go over it. You don't have anything, you don't have to use a lot of time, right? But at least go over those questions, go over the vocabulary sections, and see which words you need to go over and practice and memorize. Now so for the math section, I had 50 questions or so, and not hard questions. I would say it's just practicing. I think I had enough practice with all the books with the different books I used to study, and I definitely timed myself as I was taking the practice tests, so that was very helpful for me to keep me kind of like in a rhythm, that I wouldn't take too long in each question. And again, if you don't know a question, just skip it. Do your best at guessing and skip it. So yeah, that would be for the math section. Make sure you understand. If you have any questions, ask your friends or check in YouTube. Honestly, my friends were a huge helper for this. My coworkers too. If I had like a time to spare, I would ask them, because there are no hard questions, and I kind of knew who who knew, right? Who knew their stuff, so I could ask them. So that was definitely very helpful. So if you have a question, if a question that is difficult for you, make sure you know how to do it. Make sure you redo it. My school provided math. They have like math, a math help center that I could go to and like answer. I only went once with like a few questions after I try and ask my friends and all of that, but that definitely was helpful. I don't know if your school offers it. If it does, definitely take advantage for that. Because definitely I moving on to chemistry, that helped me a lot, right? Because I had a lot of different sections that were a little difficult. I took chemistry like 7 years ago in Spanish, right? So very different. And it was very helpful to have a tutor help me with different questions I had, and just taking a bunch of practice tests, and if I didn't understand a question, checking YouTube and making sure I would just understand. So definitely, if you want me to go more over what topics in chemistry we went over, go for it. Ask me in the comments, and I can totally make another video with specific topics that I reviewed. And because I did really good in chemistry, I got a 94. Yeah, I think a 94. So and again, chemistry was like one of the hardest ones for me because I couldn't remember that well. Okay, so going on to biology, I didn't study anything about the microscope, and they did ask me questions about the microscope. I would say probably 4. I think I got them right. I don't know. I mean, because I got like an 88. So I think I got them right, but definitely review that. Definitely review that because they will ask you that. And then just understanding what I went over with I'm sorry. It's morning time and it's raining outside, so anyways, yeah, all of those practice questions were very useful. Definitely meiosis, huge ones. And again, if you want me to go more specifically into what topics what basically the test asked me, and the questions or different topics I reviewed, definitely write it on the chat and I can do that for you. For anatomy and physiology, so definitely muscles, bones, the main ones, right? Make sure you review that. I also found this really cool website that helps you quiz yourself. So you have the human body, right, the skeleton, and then you have to name it. And so it just is really useful for you to practice over and over. So definitely do that. Again, you can ask me in the chat and I can go ahead and send it to you. It was very, very helpful for anatomy and physiology. I even used it for chemistry too, to be able to like remember, okay, which are the metals, which are the non-metals, what is ionic, what is covalent bond, what are the halogens, what are the noble gases. All of that was very helpful. So yeah. And great website. I went over each kind of system: integumentary system, endocrine system, reproductive system, sorry, and the kidney, muscles, arteries, main arteries, right? Like the carotid, the jugular, the popliteal, the basilical, all of that, right? The femur one. So arteries and veins, definitely went over that, like how the heart works, how the circulatory system works, right? So definitely went over all of that. And then just overall questions, that anatomy and physiology, you know, all of that, all of the things you go over, they can go very specific on you. So I was just focusing on all the things that I was asked in the practice questions, and I made sure that I was able to understand everything. But if you want me to go more in depth, definitely ask in the comments and I can do that for you. So for the grammar section, it wasn't super hard, and I feel really strongly that if you were born in the US, you have a huge advantage. I got like an 85, so not super awesome, not super bad. I would say make sure you understand the difference between affect and effect, between good and well, between percentage and percent, between lend and borrow, which most people have it down except me. I had to practice it. Definitely go over the questions, right? Because you need to understand what is a compound sentence, what is a complex sentence, what is a compound complex sentence, in different terms. That, I mean, you don't use that often, so you probably know it very well, but I would say just go over the textbook, go over the questions, quiz yourself, and once you know that you have it down, you can be like, okay, cool, right? You know it, so you don't have to worry too much about that section. And then reading comprehension, I would say the readings weren't super long. In the practice questions I reviewed, they were definitely long, but so they weren't super long. They were just like probably this length, and the books, they had like something like that. So it's not super long, so don't worry about it. You'll have all the questions, all the reading with you as you answer your questions. Some of the readings had like 3 questions, other ones only 1. So pretty simple, honestly. I was very engaged on each reading. I had like an 89, so not super awesome, but again, not super bad. And I feel like if you read a lot and you're born here in the US, I feel like you're going to, or just speaking English. I don't mean to be like only people in the US speak English. No, not at all. But I'm just saying, like, if you have been speaking English since you're little, then you're going to have an advantage on that. So just practice, just make sure you know how to answer an inferring question or a summary question. So all of this, right, that is important for you to practice. So don't go into the test just thinking that you can do good without practicing. Just practice. If you feel like you're very prepared, of course you can schedule it really fast, and if you don't have enough time and you feel prepared, go for it, right? But just make sure that you can go for it, just a few hours, answer some practice questions, and see if you're really that good, if you really understand all the topics that well as you feel you do. So yeah, that's my video, and I know it's been a little long, but I hope it was helpful.